In a shining city filled with towering buildings, luxury cars, and designer storefronts, lived a woman named Margaret. Margaret was not just rich. She was the richest woman in the entire city. She owned 3 companies. She had properties in 5 countries. She wore diamonds the way ordinary people wore buttons. But for all her power and fortune, Margaret was a woman of routine. Every Thursday evening, she would visit her favorite restaurant, a quiet, elegant place in the heart of the city, where she would sit alone, order her meal, and reflect on her week. That Thursday evening was no different. She arrived in her sleek black car, her personal security guards flanking her on either side. She was escorted to her usual table by the window, table 7, where the candlelight caught the glitter of the rings on her fingers. One ring, in particular, stood out. A diamond ring, oval cut, set in platinum, that had been passed down to her by her late mother. It was not just expensive. It was irreplaceable. Margaret ordered her meal, ate quietly, and after an hour or so, rose from her seat and left the restaurant. She did not notice. The ring had slipped from her finger, and it now lay, silent and glittering, beneath table 7. His name was Rayan. 24 years old. Thin. Tired. But always smiling. Rayan had been working at the restaurant for almost 2 years. His shift started before sunrise and ended long after dark. Every night, he would take home a small bag of leftover food, not for himself, but for his family. At home, his mother lay on a thin mattress, too ill to stand. His younger sister cared for a newborn baby, her own husband gone. Together, they lived in a house with cracked walls, a leaking roof, and an empty kitchen. Every night, Rayan placed the bag of restaurant food on the table and whispered, "Eat. You need your strength." But there were nights, too many nights, when even that small mercy was not enough. That Thursday evening, after the last customer had left and the other waiters were clearing up, Rayan bent down to sweep under table 7. His broom struck something hard. He reached down, and when his fingers closed around the cold metal, he stood up slowly, opened his palm, and stared. A diamond ring. Rayan had never held anything so valuable in his life. His hands trembled, not from greed, but from shock. He looked around the empty restaurant. He turned the ring over slowly under the dim light, watching it catch every ray, throwing tiny sparks of color across the walls. For a long moment, he just stood there. A voice inside him whispered, "No one will know. You could sell this. Your mother could get treatment. Your family could eat for a year." He closed his fingers around the ring. Then he opened them again. And he thought about his mother. Not what the ring could buy her, but what she always told him, on the nights when he sat beside her mattress and held her hand. "Rayan," she would say, "we may have nothing, but we are honest people. That is worth more than any treasure. Guard your honesty, my son. It is all I have given you." Rayan took a slow breath. He walked to the manager, showed him the ring, and said, "I found this under table 7. I believe it belongs to the woman who sat there, the one with the security team." The manager's eyes went wide. He recognized the woman. Everyone in the city did. He told Rayan her name. Margaret. Rayan could not sleep that night. The next morning, he found out where Margaret lived. Her address was no secret. It had been in the newspaper many times. He took the bus across the city. When he arrived at the iron gates of her mansion, the security guards blocked his path before he even reached the intercom. "Step back," said the guard. "No entry without appointment." "Please," Rayan said. "I have something that belongs to the lady of the house. It's important. Leave it with us. We'll pass it on." "I can't," Rayan said quietly. "I need to give it to her myself." The guards shook their heads. He begged. He explained. He waited. Still no. He sat on the pavement outside the gate for over an hour, turning the ring over and over in his pocket. He could have left. He could have walked away, gone home, and told himself he tried. But he stayed. And then, fate stepped in. Margaret happened to glance out of her upstairs window. She saw a young man in plain clothes, arguing quietly with her guards, his face not angry but earnest, almost desperate. Curious, she called down to the gate. "Bring him to me." Rayan was escorted inside. He had never been in a place like this. The ceilings were tall. The floors were marble. Everything gleamed. He was led to a sitting room, and a few minutes later, Margaret walked in, composed, sharp-eyed, powerful. "What is it you wanted to give me?" she asked. Rayan reached into his pocket and held out his hand. The ring sat in his open palm. Margaret stared. Her expression shifted. Something cracked open behind her eyes, just for a moment. She reached forward and took it from him slowly, turning it in her fingers the way someone handles a memory. "Where did you find this?" she asked, her voice quiet. "Under table 7, ma'am. At the restaurant. Thursday night. I work there." She studied him. This young man in worn shoes and a faded shirt, who had crossed the city to return what he could have kept, what no one would have known he kept. "Why?" she asked simply. Rayan looked at her steadily. "Because it wasn't mine." Margaret was moved. But she was also a shrewd woman. She needed to understand who this person really was. She summoned 2 of her trusted staff members and quietly asked them to find out about him. They followed Rayan home. What they found shook them. A house with crumbling walls. A mother lying ill on the floor, too weak to eat. A young sister nursing a newborn with hollow, tired eyes. A kitchen with almost nothing in it. And on the table, a small bag of restaurant leftovers. The only meal in the house. When they reported back, Margaret sat in silence for a long time. This young man, who had almost nothing, had returned something worth more than everything he owned. She said nothing for a while. Then she spoke. "Help him. Not as charity. As investment. Find out what he knows. What he can do. And give him what he needs to build something." Within weeks, Margaret's people visited Rayan. They set him up with a small business, a food delivery service, something he understood deeply from his years in the restaurant. They provided him with starting capital, a vehicle, and the right connections. Rayan worked harder than he had ever worked in his life. But this time, the work had direction. Within the first year, he had a small team. Within 2 years, his business had expanded to 3 neighborhoods. His mother received treatment. A specialist doctor, arranged quietly, who said she had caught the illness in time. His sister's family moved into a clean, proper home. And Rayan, the young man who once brought home leftovers, now brought home something else entirely. The night Rayan found that ring, no one was watching. No camera. No witness. No reward waiting. Just a young man, alone in a quiet restaurant, holding a decision in the palm of his hand. He could have chosen differently. Many people would have. But he chose honesty, not because he expected anything in return, but because it was the only thing he had never been willing to lose. And that single choice rewrote the story of his entire life. So the next time life places something tempting in your hands, something that isn't yours, remember Rayan. Remember that character is what you do when no one is watching. Remember that honesty is not weakness. It is not foolishness. It is the most powerful thing a person can carry. Because this world, no matter how it looks, still rewards those who walk with integrity. Be honest. Walk honestly. And one day, without fail, you will be rewarded. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear it today.